Welcome back to Cord Cutting Today, where we break down some of the biggest stories happening in the world of cord cutting and give you my opinion on them, including Roku has added 12 new free channels. We'll tell you which ones. It includes content from the BBC and PBS. We'll break that all down. Nexstar wants to buy more local stations. The largest owner of ABC, CBS, Fox, and NBC stations wants to get even bigger, and they're asking the FCC to approve it. This is a massive change from what the FCC would have normally approved, but many expect this to go through. We'll tell you what's happening. And YouTube TV wants you back. Did you leave because of the blackout with Disney? They got a very special deal to entice you back to YouTube TV now that Disney's back and ESPN and more. We'll break these stories down and more here in a quick second. First, though, if you're new here, check out the show notes, and in the first pinned comment, I'll put a link to each story there. As I give you my opinion, you can read those stories and then come up with your own opinion. I want to hear from you in the comments. Also, if you like what we do here, please consider hitting that subscribe button, hitting that thumbs up. Doing one or both lets YouTube know you enjoy what we do here, so YouTube recommends our videos to more people, helping us grow and hopefully helping you break free from the high cost of TV and still watch the shows you enjoy. All right, let's dive into it. Roku this week has added 12 new channels to its Roku channel for free on Roku TVs, Roku players, and a variety of other devices like mobile phones, tablets, Fire TVs, and more. Now with this, it includes quite a bit of BBC and PBS content. Now, kind of quick highlight of a few of them. I'll let you read the full story if you want all the channels. But Heartland Classics, the Canadian Family Drama Network there's coming. BBC Drama, PBS Travel, PBS Nature with this. BBC Adventure, another channel. Maybe the most important channel. Bridezilla's 24/7. Anybody like the Bridezilla show? That's coming 24/7 there. But this is just a selection of the content. Several new BBC, several new PBS stations, and others being added with this, including some Spanish language content. But if you want to find the full list and see everything coming to your Roku TV, your Roku players, and anything that has the Roku channel on it, check the show notes and in the first pinned comment. I'll put a link there. All right, let's keep moving along. Nexstar, the largest owner of local TV stations, is trying to get bigger. They're buying Tinga. Now, they received clearance. Tinga's shareholders have voted it and approved it. And I guess Nexstar is all good to go. That now leaves federal approval, most importantly, the FCC. Traditionally, this would violate an FCC rule that would prevent one company from owning multiple of the big four, ABC, NBC, Fox, and CBS, in one market. So, for example, where you live, you got your local big four stations and probably others like CW and more. Well, traditionally, and there's been a few loopholes and exceptions to this, but the traditional big rule here is Nexstar could only own one of those. So, for example, if they owned ABC in your market, they couldn't also own the NBC. Now, with this deal, in quite a few markets, they would own two of the big four. So, they would, for example, where I live, they would own both an NBC and the ABC if this deal goes through. So, what does that mean? Well, the FCC's, under the new leadership, has been talking about for some time allowing this change. Now, their argument so far seems to be this. With the change of the way people are watching content, with the growth of streaming, the ABC, NBC, Fox, and CBS still are a big player, but they don't have the dominant control of media that was once there. With this now, you will, for example, if you don't like your local NBC and ABC because they're owned by Nexstar, well, you can go to CBS and Fox, but you also have all this other content here with it. There's only one thing, and I understand that. I get the idea, and that's been the push to allow, for example, Dish and DirecTV to merge, which I still think could really happen. I know they failed to do it about a year ago because of issues with debt. But the argument there is, well, yeah, that's great that these two satellites will be merging, but with widespread high-speed internet, there's YouTube TV, Fubo, Hulu Plus Live, Sling, TV streaming, and other options on the market to get your live TV from. My only big concern is not actually about the ABC. It's not about them owning multiple. It's about the local news. Increasingly, local news has been drying up as a lot of the options have been going away. Newspapers aren't really a thing like they used to. News on radio isn't really what it used to be. My local news radio talk sports network station that used to have its own newsroom, now mostly gets its news from a NBC affiliate where I live. So I'm a little concerned about the news aspect of this. I love to see some protection. It would not surprise me to see Nexstar say, well, NBC, now you're going to produce the news for ABC also, and all those ABC people are gone. We're just going to simulcast the local news on both NBC and ABC. We've already seen similar things happen in other markets. I suspect that will become pretty widespread. And it's not going to stop here. Sinclair is actively trying to buy EW Scripps to merge them and get similar approval as they try to compete with Nexstar's growing domination. We'll have to watch this closely. Nexstar's talked a lot about how they want streaming services to pay more money for their locals. Them owning more could put pressure on those companies to do that. We'll watch this very closely. It's going to be a very important moment, but I'm going to warn you, I fully expect this to go through, maybe with minor tweaks or minor kind of requests or rules. But overall, I suspect that this will be quickly approved and change how television works going forward. I'll watch it closely. They have about 180 days for the FCC to respond. There's certain things they can do to delay it, but we should have an idea of at least what's happening within the next few months. All right, let's keep moving along. YouTube TV over the weekend, last weekend, reached a deal to restore ABC's and Disney-owned channels after roughly a 2-week blackout with it. Now, YouTube TV lost quite a few subscribers who jumped ship to things like football. It's a great thing about cord cutting, no long-term contracts. It's month to month. If YouTube TV loses a channel you want and Fubo or Hulu or Sling has it, just swap on over. Well, YouTube TV's hoping you come back. Now, they've launched a special deal contacting customers who recently left, offering them $60 off to come back to YouTube TV. Now, if you're one of the people who recently left, check your email. You may have a special offer from YouTube TV on this. So check it out. Link in the show notes if you want to learn more about it, but they're trying to entice people to come back. Speaking of ESPN, our next story, they've struck a deal with the NCAA to add over 700 hours of live ESPN championship thing across a wide range of sports to ABC, ESPN networks, and ESPN Plus. Over 700 hours of women's basketball, probably all kinds of others, volleyball, baseball, softball, etc. competitions, the championships, playoffs, and the like, will be coming to ESPN going forward. So check that out. More content as ESPN tries to load up and moving away from more studio shows to trying to air more sports. Hey, are you a fan of the BBC? You may notice some changes coming to their streaming. BBC has notified a good chunk of their streaming player staff, people who focus, for example, on the BBC iPlayer and other streaming efforts. About 80 of those employees have been notified that they are up to be laid off, becoming, quote, redundant in this. Now, there's certain rules in the UK related to this. They're offering them training in different positions, but it looks like widespread layoffs are coming, according to a report from Deadline with this. We'll watch how that plays out. What's the BBC doing? We know, for example, Doctor Who is going to get a new streaming home in the United States, but they have not announced where, as it's going to be leaving Disney Plus soon. We'll watch it closely. Speaking of people leaving at big changes, Apple may be having a big change at the top. There's growing reports, we already talked about this once, but that Apple's CEO, Tim Cook, who's been there since Steve Jobs left quite a few years ago now. What was it? I think he took over in 2011. Somebody quote me or correct me if I'm wrong on that. But according to a report from the Financial Times, Apple has started aggressively vetting and looking at options to replace him, as many expect him to leave in 2026. I'd like to tip my hat to Tim Cook. You know, for all the downsides of Apple and things people don't like about it, they've done a remarkable job of being consistent in a very difficult field of phones and consumer electronics, which has been squeezed by ever cheaper and cheaper prices on a lot of this. It's a big shoes for somebody to fill at Apple and see where the company goes forward as competition has grown, and there's a lot of questions about what's next for Apple with it. But it'll be interesting to see what happens. Who do they pick? I think will tell us a lot about where they want to take the company, what kind of background this person has. Are they going to promote from within? Or are they going to go outside to get a fresh perspective here is a question that many are going to watch. We'll wait and see what happens. Hey, deal of the day this week. If you're looking for some money or to save on gas and you're an Amazon Prime member, for a limited time, you can save up to 25 cents per gallon on one fill-up every Friday at participating BP, Amoco, and AMPM gas station. Those must not be ones around where I live. But BP, Amoco, and AMPM stations across the United States. Now that's a jump from their normal everyday gas savings. This is part of their Black Friday deals. Check out, link in the show notes if you want to learn more about it. Hey, next up, yesterday you may have noticed Core Cars News was down for a while. Actually, I got up in the morning. A little kind of behind the scenes look here real quick. I usually cover the news from about 6 a.m. until about 9 a.m. I'm the only one on. At about 9 a.m., Jess and Raymond and all those people Eastern come on board. Well, because we use Cloudflare for part of our hosting setup to deal with the high amount of traffic we get, it was down, and because of that, we couldn't even access our website. We couldn't update things. It was going up and down all morning, and when it popped up, we would quickly rush a story out to hopefully what we could. But it took out quite a few things, including, funnily, the website down detector, which tracks outages of websites. It was down. X, if you're on there, ChatGPT, and so many other websites. If you were a website not on Cloudflare, which to be honest was not a lot of websites, so most websites seem to use it, they were having a great news day because they were the only ones able to cover news. But massive outage. This comes after a massive outage of Amazon's AWS, knocked out a lot of websites and streaming services. Now Cloudflare did it. I know it knocked out some apps too with it. But sorry it went out. It was funny. Everybody, James, Raymond, Jess, and I, we all got online. We're all like, well, I guess we're just going to write some stuff in Word and Google Docs for now, as we hope the website comes back. But it did come back. So if you were yesterday morning unable to get on X or ChatGPT or a host of other websites, including ours, well, it's because of an outage at Cloudflare. Now, they say they fixed it. Don't expect it to continue. We'll watch it closely. And lastly, according to a story from The Wrap, Morgan Freeman says his lawyers are very busy. This is a big thing that I think is going to become more and more popular. Cracking down on unauthorized uses of his voice by AI cloning, basically. People who used AI technology to study his voice and then use it to replicate things. Maybe it's endorsing products, YouTube videos, all kinds of stuff. Morgan Freeman is cracking down, and this is going to become a bigger problem. Now, for years, celebrities have cracked down on usage of their images, taking a photo of them and photoshopping it to make it look like they're endorsing a product or stuff. Well, now that's not just like a still image, but actual videos and voices copying using AI. I think it's going to be a problem that becomes bigger and bigger. Yeah, there's increasingly talk about AI, people scan their bodies and using their AI to create videos and the like. That's interesting, but it raises a big question. What if somebody does it to me? Morgan Freeman has the lawyers to crack down on that. How do I crack down on people using my likeness, my voice, and AI to replicate it? We'll keep an eye on that, but that's a growing trend in the United States and around the world. Well, that's it for today. I hope you have a fantastic day. I'll be back again tomorrow with another video. Until then, take care, be safe. I'll talk to you all again real soon.